and particularly about the factuality of the Bible. And it also has a real emphasis on adherence without critical thought. So, for example, one of my criticisms of evangelical Christianity isn't very thoughtful. So, for example, if I put in a first-year seminary essay the evangelical arguments about Christianity, I would fail. Because they actually don't stand up intellectually or academically, and I would fail. It's as simple as that. Yeah? It's also in this intellectual cul-de-sac because it's got nowhere to go, because it is frightened of inquiry. It is frightened of attempting to explore, because any thought that is not what has been prescribed is often described as doubt and ruthlessly crushed. And many people who leave the evangelical church actually leave the church completely because they feel that they have been trapped in an intellectual cul-de-sac. I actually say that people outgrow the church frequently, and that's a sign of their own spiritual maturity.
That's right.
Not about them being bad and evil people. But the fact is, because they've started to have a brain and think for themselves, that makes them toxic to institutions that do not want thought to happen. One of my criticisms also of the evangelical church is it really prides itself on being countercultural, which I just find very countercultural, meaning that it's opposite to mainstream society. Yeah? But I would argue that particularly evangelical Christianity is deeply rooted in consumerism. And if we actually look at things such as the prosperity gospel, which shorthand, if God loves you, you will be rich, give me more money so you can become rich. Yeah? Yeah? All that is an apologetic for the abuses of Western capitalism. Because when someone is blessed by God with physical riches, that means somebody else is probably not eating. Yeah? If we look at where we get our stuff from, if it is, how can we say that prosperity comes because we've got lots of stuff, if a 4-year-old in India is actually having to work in a sweatshop in order to provide that? That is not prosperity. As simple as that. I think the other thing that the evangelical church is quite good at is actually repackaging what I consider Calvinism, the sort of classic modern theology. It makes it look friendlier because they have nice PowerPoint, and it's very friendly because they sing nice happy songs with cheerful tunes saying that they're miserable and they're not able to be redeemed. Yeah? So when we're looking at evangelical Christianity, I think it is very wanting. But if you're a liberal, don't get comfortable because I'm about to say something there as well. And I consider myself a liberal, but the more I've thought about liberalism, the more I'm not sure how happy I am with it. One of the things that I think liberalism has done is it's almost gone overboard. So like the evangelical church critiques nothing, the liberal church critiques everything. And not only critiques everything, but quite often takes the mystery out of the gospel account. I've seen liberal people jump up and down and say the feeding of the 5,000 actually just meant they all had loaves and fishes up their skirts and they got them out and shared them. Yes. And when you actually say, but why can't a miracle just be a miracle? No, it's got to be rational, it's got to be explained. And if it can't be rational and it can't be explained, then actually it's not liberal. Yeah? I think also, one of my critiques of the liberal church is quite often the emphasis is on the social gospel rather than the real one. Yeah? Quite often liberal churches provide wonderful social services and really crap worship services. Yeah? And I think one of the things that we really need to think about is actually if a church needs not only to provide good things, it also needs to provide good worship. It needs to provide spiritual nourishment and intellectual endeavour for people. Yeah? I think sometimes that the liberal church has confused a sense of social justice with a sense of faith.
That's right.
Yeah? But what I also see is these two parts of the church locked in this culture war, where there is very little in between. You know, I was at a church conference not very long ago, and I was asked, So what do you think of gay people in the church? I went, well, can I have a few more, please? Because I could do with a couple more on a Sunday morning. And they looked at me. You know, the reality is that sort of like things like gays and lesbians have actually become shorthand for the culture war. And if you ask somebody in the church whether or not they're in favour of gay or lesbian people, whatever they say will brand them either a liberal or a conservative. Yeah? Postmodern responses to Christianity, such as queer theology, are actually really needed because we need to break this deadlock. Yeah? This war has now been going on for 30 years, and everyone has dug in, and no one is going anywhere. There is no middle ground.